自上世纪中后期以来，战后抽象一直是全球艺术市场的主流。近10年，随着顶端市场逐渐饱和，各大机构和收藏家开始关注那些曾被低估的战后大师精品。这些作品不仅具备历史文化价值，还具有稀缺性和独特性。相比已经到达价值顶点的蓝筹艺术家作品，这些作品的入手门槛和风险较低，但潜力巨大，因此成为众多收藏家和投资者的首选。本期视频带你认识一位正在被市场重新发掘的女性画家，她的艺术生涯长达80年。曾与毕加索、马蒂斯等现代艺术大师同场展出，其创作跨越了纽约和巴黎2座艺术之都，影响了数代人。她的名字叫 Janice Biala。To explore the world of Janice Biala, I invited Christine Berry, a distinguished gallerist who represents the artist estate. Christine, you are a leading expert on post-war American abstract expressionism and have been instrumental in the resurgence of female artists in this field, notably Lynn Drexler, Alice Baber, and Yvonne Thomas, whom we have previously featured in our videos. I'm very excited to be here today to learn about the works by Janice Biala.
Thank you so much. It's always great to see you and always love doing a video with you. We did a major show a few months ago and had great success. And we were pleased that we started working now directly with the estate. So we officially represent the estate of Janice Biala.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Very excited. And that's great for us. This is how we get a chance to do wonderful exhibitions, to move markets, learn more about an artist, do scholarship. So you and I are often talking about artists from the 50s and 60s and 70s. This is very early. We're talking, this painting we're looking at is from 1947. She is different than a lot of the artists that we usually talk about. She's not an abstract painter. She has representation in her work. It's abstracted, but it's not pure abstraction. And I love this. This is one of the reasons we're so excited about her work. She was born in Poland, emigrated to the United States in around 1913, and they moved to the Lower East Side in New York City. Both her brother and Janice Biala wanted to be artists. And this is an interesting story, I think. We talk about women in the arts all the time. Her brother's name was Jack Twerkov. And her last name was Twerkov. But you can't have two artists signing their name Twerkov. So she changed her last name to their hometown in Poland, Białystok. And so that way she was differentiated from her brother and she could make a name for herself. But she could also participate in exhibitions where people didn't know if she was a man or a woman, so she got included maybe more often. So she became a painter. She studied at the Art Students League and also the National Academy of Design. But really her true education came when she moved to Paris. She's what we call an expatriate. She spent a lot of her time in Paris. She loved Paris. This is before World War II. So she was there in the 1930s. He was friends with Gertrude Stein, Picasso, Matisse, a few big names. And she was hanging out in those circles. She really got exposed to artists like Braque and Picasso, and that was her influence. This painting is called The Studio. This is from her studio back in the United States. So right before World War II, she wanted to stay in Paris, but it was getting difficult in Paris. So she came back to the US. Her Ford Maddox Ford had passed away, and she married a man named Alain. He was an illustrator for the New Yorker. This is him here. This person here is Elaine de Kooning, who we talk about all the time. So this was her circle of friends. Her husband Alain and her were very supportive of Willem de Kooning and Elaine de Kooning. In fact, they bought several of Willem de Kooning's paintings. And this is back in the day, 1947. This is not the height of this. This is the beginning of abstract expressionism. I love this example by Biala because it really shows her unique technique and characteristics of her work that she will carry with her. This painting within a painting or a window within a painting. This probably is an easel with her painting. This, you'll start seeing repeated areas in her paintings. This is a stairwell inside their apartment. And just these beautiful little planes of color. She was a wonderful colorist. So you recently sold another very nice example from this series as well.
Yeah, I think this work is of historical significance and also holds a deeply personal place for the artist, imbuing it with unique value and meaning. As time progressed, Biala's career continued to prosper. In 1950, she was one of the only 3 women, along with Louis Bourgeois and Hedda Stern, invited to the exclusive artist session of Studio 35 in New York City. Historians regard this meeting as a defining moment in post-war American art. In 1955, the Whitney Museum of American Art became the first public institution to acquire Biala's work. This piece exemplifies her iconic style in the 1950s.
Yes, this is very similar to what the Whitney Museum acquired. These are very rare. These works from the 50s are sort of few and far between, as we say. We looked at an earlier work of hers from the 40s. This is now 10 years later. You can see she's back in New York here. She knows that the art world has sort of shifted from Paris to New York. She is aware of abstract expressionism and what is sort of brewing. Remember, she's good friends with Willem de Kooning and Elaine de Kooning. So here her brushwork becomes more gestural. It's longer, broader strokes, but still, like Biala, there's 2 figures in here. So this is a theme that she really doesn't ever become a pure abstract painter. She always has some sort of representation in her work. And I always say this is really important. These artists, especially the women, were able to define and find their own styles and continue that. And that's what Biala does. This is an amazing example. This is one of my favorites, so I'm glad you got to see it today.
During the decades of 1960 to 1979, Biala completed many of her largest scale works to date. These include themes that incorporate painting and collage, expanding on the themes of interiors and portraiture.
In this period of work, this is from 1977. For a long stretch of her career now, she's painting interiors of her studio, but they become more abstract. So she's going back to these planes. Back we talked about cubism. She had gone to see in the 1920s a show at the Brooklyn Museum on Parisian artists, European artists, and she saw Matisse, she saw Cézanne. All of this stayed with her. You can see, when you look at this, you think about Matisse, this idea of an open window.
Yes.
You know, she's always giving you places to look. This may be the stairwell again that we looked at before. There's repeated themes. This little vase, it's a Greek vase that her family even owns now. So it's very special to them. And she's become very modern in what she's doing.
During her final decades, Biala continued to exhibit internationally. Upon her death in 2000, renowned art critic Roberta Smith wrote in the New York Times that her art spanned 2 art capitals and several generations, belonging to a transatlantic tradition that included French painters like Matisse, Bonnard, as well as Milton Avery and Edward Hopper. Her work is held in the permanent collections of over 40 major museums worldwide, including the Whitney Museum in New York and Centre Pompidou in Paris.
You sold a very important example to one of your clients not so long ago, which was a beautiful, wonderful piece. So there's more like this. So now is a really great time. It's an opportunity to buy her work. We did 1 show. We will plan another show, so it will keep happening.
Though her contributions were not fully recognized at the time, her market is now rising, and her value has become undeniably evident, making her work highly sought after by discerning collectors.
那我们今天的画廊私访就先到这里。如果你想要收藏视频中介绍的藏品，可以在视频下方找到我们的联系方式。如果你喜欢本期的视频，别忘了点赞、评论、收藏、转发。我们下期见啦！